Guys, you can see how beautiful the side seam looks like. That is the hip area for the side seam. It's looking really, really beautiful, well shaped. So this is only achieved if you cut your fabric with the right measurement and shape it properly with the right measurement. When you are stitching this front and back piece together, try as much as possible to be accurate with your sewing to have a very nice and beautiful shape after stitching these pieces together. If you don't cut your fabric right and you don't stitch right, you would not have your skirt come out looking very shapy. Hello guys, you're welcome to my channel. This is Valmich Fits. Here we'll learn tips, tricks and techniques of making beautiful and of course amazing outfits. Please, if this is your first time on my channel, hit on that subscribe button and click on your notification bell to stay updated on my new tutorial videos. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to cut a straight long skirt directly on your fabric without pattern papers. I'll be using this lace as my main fabric and the satin as my inner fabric. This skin tone net here will be used for my sleeves and also for the yoke. So you can see how this net blends very well with my skin, but this net I got for a dark skin tone. But see it's here on my skin, it's blending very well. It looks really nice, like almost my own skin. So guys, this is actually a whole corset dress and I already have the corset top tutorial on my channel. You can go check that. So if you'd love to learn how to cut this skirt, then let's get to work. Alright guys, I have my inner fabric cut out with the highest measurement of my lower body, which is my round hip measurement, and I folded this material in two. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start with the waist measurement. That is the round waist measurement. So I'll take my round waist measurement and divide that in four. I'll be cutting the front side of the skirt first. So this is my waist measurement divided by 4 because this fabric is on fold. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take my waist to my hip line and my waist to my knee line. So the waist to hip line and the waist to knee line actually varies from person to person because some people are very tall and while some are not very tall. Usually with average height, I mark 8, 9, 10 as the points for the hip line. But for tall persons, you can go lower, and for people that are not very tall, then you can go higher. So for this particular body measurement, I'll be using 9, 10, 11, and even 12 as my hip point. Same thing apply to the knee line. For this I'll be using 18 inches, so I'll be adding half inch for my seam allowance on the waistline. So I'll go down by half inch later on. I want to just show you guys exactly what I mean. The next thing I'm going to be doing here is to take my round hip measurement divided by 4. So I'm going to put down my round hip measurements divided by 4, and after that I'll do the same thing for my knee measurement. So I'm going to take this measurement again for you guys to see, and this time I'll be marking the complete hip point measurement like I said earlier, which is 9, 10, 11 and 12. So I'm going to put down my round hip measurement on this point. So by the time I curve my hip measurement out, it's going to fall in line with that point. Here will be my knee measurement divided by 4. Usually what you just have to do is to subtract about 2 to 2.5 or 3 inches from your hip measurements depending on how fitted or how loose you want your knee line to be. That measurement I took for my knee line, I'm going to take it all down to the hem of this skirt. So guys, I want you to take note of this. This is a long straight skirt and not a pencil skirt. Pencil skirts are more tinier on the hemline than on the knee line. So for pencil skirts, the measurement you took for the knee line is going to be tiny on the hemline. Like you're going to still subtract from that measurement for the hemline. But this is a long straight skirt. The measurement you use for the knee line is what you're going to use for the hemline. Now, after taking out this measurement and be sure that my measurement is accurate, the next thing I'm going to do is to curve these points out. So I'm not going to include any dart for my front skirt pattern because I usually don't add that to my front block. So I'm just going to curve this out down to the hemline for you guys to see how the shape is. So starting from the waistline, I'm going to first mark out the exact body measurement, which is the exact point I made here, before I'll be including my side seam allowance. So I have started marking out from the waist to the hip line, and I've gotten to the knee line, which I'm going to mark out straight down to the hemline. For the knee line, I'm going to come down by half inch like I said earlier. That will be for the sewing allowance of the waistline. So take for example, my hip measurement is 52 inches, and if I divide 52 inches by 2, I am going to get 26, and if I subtract 3 inches from that, I'm going to get my knee measurement. So that's how I got my knee measurement, and I got 11.5 inches. So that is what I marked down for my knee measurement. You can actually subtract 4 inches from your hip measurement. That depends on how fitted you want the knee line to be. If you want it to be very loose, then please subtract less. But if you want it to be very, very fitted, then subtract more. So I'm going to mark this measurement down to the knee line. And as you can see, I'm trying to be very, very accurate with my markings. After doing all that and making sure my skirt is well shaped, I'm going to add my side seam allowance of about 1.5 inches. You can go ahead to add 2 inches as your side seam allowance. That is, after turning your side with your lining, you are going to have 1.5 inches left as your allowance. But if I add 1.5 inches as my side seam allowance, after turning the side with my lining, I'm going to have 1 inch left as my allowance. You can see I'm indicating my knee line on my side seam allowance because I want to be very sure of my measurement. So I'm going to take the same 1.5 inches side seam allowance all down to the hemline. So guys, this is how the skirt pattern looks like after marking it out. And the full length measurement I'll be using for this skirt is about 60 inches. So if I place my tape rule like this from the waistline, I would have about 44.5 inches, but I'll be making use of 42.5 inches. So if I take my tape rule up, subtracting the shoulder to waistline away from the skirt, or the shoulder to the half length away from the skirt with my half inch on the waistline, I will be having here over 60 inches. So I'll be making use of 60 inches as my full skirt length or my full dress length. So this excess will be folded in. Since this is the inner fabric, I'll be using this to cut on my lace fabric. I'll take this away to cut the back pattern or the back side of this skirt. I would place it on top another fabric of same length but wider with about 2.5 inches, because that will be for the zipper allowance. I'm taking same measurement I did for the front, that is the waist to the knee line, just to be accurate with the back measurement. So I'm going to mark it just the way I did here. I'll do the same thing for the back measurement, that is the waist to the knee line. So for this back pattern, I would not be having that line on the back skirt block. Please just follow. I will not be having that line, but I'll be having same measurements I have for the front pattern. So I'm marking the waist to the knee line, and also here I'm marking the waist to the hip line. So for the waistline, I marked in 1.5 inches. For the hip line, I marked 2.5 inches. And for the knee line, I marked in 1.5 inches. I'm going to connect these points together. That is for the zipper allowance. From the waistline to the hip line, down to the knee line. What this is for is to remove any gap from the waistline and to make the underbutt area well fitted. If you want it to be very, very fitted, then go ahead to subtract just 1 inch from the underbutt area. By that, I mean the knee line. So same measurement I took away from the knee line is what I'm going to do for the hemline. I'm going to do same measurement straight down to the hemline. Guys, we all know our backside is not straight like a ruler, so that is why starting from the waistline, we have to curve it out to the hip line and then back in on the knee line. So I'm going to cut out what I have chalked down. I will be cutting the front and the back together on the side seam. So guys, remember I said the back part will not be having any dart. I decided not to add any dart to the back part, so that is why I'm cutting the both of them together on the side seam. Usually for the side of the back, you would have 1 inch extra from the waistline to the hip line, which will be for the dart intake. So what I'm doing here is cutting the back and the front same way. Well, I know you would be wondering if the back is going to be well fitted since there will be no darts on it. Well, yes, it's going to come out well. That is why I shaped the waistline for the center back. You can go ahead to take in just 1 inch, but for this I did 1.5 inches. But you can go ahead to do 1 inch for the waistline. This will actually help the waist to be well fitted and well cinched, so it's going to cover up for that space that you would have had your dart in. So what I'm going to do here next is to go down by about 2 inches from the center back. Why I'm taking down 2 inches from the center back, you see some skirts after tying out the loops, it's going to be puffy on the center back. So to reduce that puffiness, to reduce that excess coming up on the center back, you would reduce the center back by about 2 to 2.5 inches. Then indicate where you'd have had your dart intake, mark it down, and connect from that 2 to 2.5 inches from the center back to that spot. So what I'm going to do now is just to connect from that 2 to 2.5 inches marked on the center back to where I would have had my dart intake. So this will help the center back to not be puffy after looping your dress or your half length. Remember I said this skirt will be connected to the top bodies of this dress. So this is one beautiful technique to eliminate that puffiness on your skirt center back. You can see how it looks like on the front, and this is how it looks like on the back side. Here I have my half-inch seam allowance to join the skirt to the top bodies from here to the side seam, while from this slant part down to the center back will be turned with my lining. I'm just trying to trim this part out perfectly so after stitching to come out nice. Now I'll take this away to cut on my lace fabric and also cut out my lining. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine after cutting to stitch all these pieces together to make my skirt. Alright guys, I'm done making my skirt and this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like before joining to the top. I have sewn in my zipper, turned the center back, and even opened up my slit. You can see the V-shaped look on the center back like I said earlier. You can see how curved it is. Then for the front, I'm going to be making a basque waistline for the center front. So you see the slit, I've opened it up and this is how beautiful the back side is looking. The reason why you see the center back this way, looking like this, is because of how I dipped the waistline and also the underbutt area. That is why it is looking this way, but after it's been worn, that is when it is fitted, you see the very beautiful look of it. This is how the center front looks like right now, but I'll be making it a basque waistline before joining this to the top bodies. Sorry, this part will not be on record because I'm trying to hasten up with my time. So for the center front, you can go down by 3 to 3.5 inches depending on how deep you want your basque waistline to be. You can even go lower by 4 to 4.5 inches. So you can see how it looks like on the center back after turning this part with my lining, leaving half inch to join the side with my top. Guys, you can see how beautiful the side seam looks like. That is the hip area for the side seam. It's looking really beautiful, well shaped. So this is only achieved if you cut your fabric with the right measurement and shape it properly with the right measurement. When you are stitching this front and back piece together, try as much as possible to be accurate with your sewing to have a very nice and beautiful shape after stitching these pieces together. If you don't cut your fabric right and you don't stitch right, you would not have your skirt come out looking very shapy. You can see the half inch left on the waistline to join this to the top. And this is the outcome of how the back side looks like after joining the top and the skirt parts together. So in my previous tutorials concerning this particular dress, I taught how to draft the front and the back side of this upper dress. And the front side is actually a three-part corset cup style with the sewing tutorial included. That is how to stitch the three-part corset cup from start to finish. You might want to go check that out. So you can see how it looks like on the back side, the V shape I achieved on the back side. So when this is worn, it will not be puffy on that center back. It will just lay flat on the center back on your waistline. So guys, I would show you how the front looks like after being worn, and also how the back side looks like. So guys, I hope you'd try out this beautiful technique of creating this v-shaped look on the center back to give it a very nice fit around the butt area and around the waist area. So if you find this tutorial very helpful, please do not forget to subscribe if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, and also click on the like button as a sign of encouragement. Please do not hesitate to drop your comments or your questions, and do share this video to those who you think might be interested in learning this. For now, I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Bye.